we've got a property that was $215,000. We did a down payment of $42,400, 20%.
Yeah.
And so with that $42,400, we have a loan balance of, let's see here, that gives us a debt service of $10,012.
The monthly payment. No.
Per year.
Per year.
Annual interest. Now this is solely an average, because on an amortization schedule, if you can actually distribute out the amortization schedule, you can do year by year, and then have that in the background that it's not showing, but just amortization calculators you can download easily, and then just have that.
You know what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Basically, the interest goes down as.
So we just calculated off the cuff when we were doing this. We just said, okay, it's going to be roughly this at this interest rate, and we just averaged it, and it was like year one. So if you want to truly show on the calculator year one, you're going to pay this much in interest, therefore your tax write-off should be, if you're in this tax bracket, XYZ. One thing I'd recommend having is get the current national tax brackets, and then allow that as a drop-down, like which federal tax bracket are you in? And then let them select it, and then suggest and say, if you don't know, most people that make between this and this, which is the typical of our people that we work with, are in this one, so just select that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you can get so exact that you have so many options. They're like, I don't know which one I am, and you don't want that, so just say, if you don't know, use this.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty easy when you put it like dollar amounts, like how much do you make?
yeah, exactly. When you're like, what tax bracket? I don't know, my accountant just says what I pay in taxes, or sent me a return tax, I don't know. Okay, so we calculated out the annual interest of $4,359, and then depreciation of the asset. So the things that are depreciating on an asset are only the vertical value. So on a $214,000 property, about 80% of that is going to be the structure, 20% is going to be the dirt. So we had 214 times 80%. Last time I got to call out things and have.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Okay, so 214,900 times 0.8, 171,920. 171,920 vertical value. Oops. And then divided by 27 and a half years. So that's straight line depreciation, which is 6251 in annual depreciation. So the thing about that is, if you don't take it on your taxes, the government will take it for you. And so just some things that you need to understand behind depreciation. So you buy it right here at this price, and then every year, this is we'll call it 215, you drop $6,200, and then all the way to year 27 and a half, you depreciated this asset down to zero. So in the meantime, your property, this is more just like an educational side, so as you're talking to clients, your property is appreciating at 4% a year. Everything in this space is considered capital gains, and all of it is taxable only when you sell. So strategically, you can do a 1031 exchange, or keep your asset and re-leverage. Because just as you're depreciating the asset, your principal balance is doing this. Actually, sorry. As you put a down payment, your principal balance starts here and does something like this. That's your debt. So between here and here is your equity position. Between here and here is your capital gain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Back over here. So we have right here debt service, interest paid, average of $43.59. Need to do an amortization schedule to get exact. And And then you have depreciation on straight line depreciation of 6251.
So what you can do with that depreciation is basically front load it.
So yeah, the other thing you can do, this is the straight line depreciation, no sophistication at all for that. It's just government says this is what you get on residential. It's 27 and a half years. However, if you do cost segregation, you get to front load roughly another between 60 and 80% of what is going to be depreciated all in the first 5 to 7 years. So now you take this big write-off, and instead of it doing straight line depreciation, what happens is you go like this, boom, and then over like that to the same 27 and a half. So this is all the things that last 27 and a half years: carpet, appliances, electrical wires, all that other stuff. Big front load off right up in the front. You take a big hit, which if you go sell it really quick, you're going to pay this capital gains tax because it's a big variance between this line and that line.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to hold, it's a great way because all of this write-off right now comes off against what you pay on taxes, gives you more expendable cash, so you can go reinvest because you're paying the government less money. Now there's other
So
things.
if you cost seg, Steve, is that for every investor? Can you just like if you owe the government, if you do your taxes and there's $5,000 that you owe the government, but you have a property with cost segregation, can you just, or is that just the income for the property?
So it's the income from the property if you're an investor, which means that you're going to have far more write-off than you have need, so you carry the loss forward. If you're this designation right here, a real estate professional, you get to now use that write-off against your commission income. So if you have the real estate professional designation, which there's requirements as to how many hours a year, if you have a W-2 job and how much time you allocate to that versus real estate, if you can consider and classify in your tax return as a real estate professional, you get to do straight flow through of the write-off into all of your income, not just the asset itself. So you get the most benefit from cost segregation as a professional. So in other words, I can use it this year. Whereas if I can't, then I just have to carry little by little. So you have to analyze and say, if I'm going to spend money for a cost seg analysis and I can't take the whole benefit, maybe I just straight line depreciate anyway.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So your income definitely has to be high enough for the cost seg to make sense.
Need the write-off.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because if you're not going to save money on taxes, then you don't need the write-off.
Right. That's kind of tricky though, because you need to know that in advance.
Yes.
And if you're 1099, you're thinking on your abilities, right?
Well, you're going to amend your tax returns. Like, I never pay taxes by April 15th. I file an extension by then and I pay all that I should pay, so I don't have penalties. But then I file my final return in September. So I'm going to file my final return the next month, every single year. And that's for 2018, and we're almost a year away from that.
Wow.
So my accountants, you're strategically doing your taxes kind of behind what happens, so you can truly take every deduction strategically that you should have. And I can do a cost seg today for 2018's real estate acquisitions. So
Nice.
it's not necessarily forecasting that much. You can look in the rearview mirror and do this stuff.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so if you add these two numbers up, we have a number combined here of 10,610. And if you're in a 30% tax bracket, that puts you at, I have the number right here, 3,180 in less taxes. Because I didn't get taxed on that extra $10,600 write-off. And so what we do is we say, if I put a down payment of 42,
And I didn't show Cam the property. It was basically a $212,000 property. We put 25% down on it, which would be the 42 for cash down. That's what it's coming up with.
So then every box that we're doing this analysis, like here's my tax savings box, here's my cash flow box, here's my appreciation box, and then here's my 30-year summary. My tax savings were a yield to my pocket that year of $3,180 that I didn't pay in taxes. That's the same as someone putting it in my pocket. Just because the government didn't take it out, I now had it put back in.
Right.
So I need to calculate tax savings alone on this asset, 3,180 divided by 42.4 is an additional 7.8% cash on cash return. Because if I didn't buy this asset, if I didn't use my 42.4 and I left it in the savings account, and I didn't put it actively into real estate, I would have paid an extra $3,180 in taxes a year.
Yeah.
So now my bank account that says I'm getting 0.5%, I'm actually paying a lot more for that money to sit in the bank than making an asset and putting it into real estate.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of the dialogue we want people to get from this. It's like, if you put it to work, the government's saying, we're going to give you money by doing these activities in the market. We want you to start businesses that gives jobs to our citizens. We want you to provide housing that gives housing to our citizens. If you do those things, we will give you money.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't, you're gonna pay taxes by not being productive in the way that we want you to be productive.
Right.
So if you look at taxes in that way, that's what they're saying. Okay. Appreciation, it's going to stay right along the rate of inflation, which is going to be about 4% per year. So year one is $8,596, and appreciation, equity, and appreciation. Tenant purchase equity. Where that's coming from is my asset, because I bought this $214,000 property, I used $42,000 from my savings account to put it into the asset. Over time, it'll average 4% per year. Year one might be 10% or it might be negative 5%. It doesn't matter. If I'm looking to hold it, over time it will be around 4%. It's been that way for history. It pretty much always will be. So 42.4 got me $8,596 in equity on average every single year, except it gets bigger and bigger because you're earning 4% on the new balance. The tenant paid my mortgage. So if they covered my mortgage, they covered my interest that I got a tax write-off on, and they covered my equity because they're buying principal. A little bit of a piece of the principal comes off every single month as well. So the tenant purchase equity is $5,653. So this needs to be a box. This needs to be a box that shows up for the client. And then
Is that 5,000 or 15,000? Tenant purchase equity, 15,000?
no, 5. I don't know where that came from, sorry. So this is a 33%. 8596 plus 5653 divided by 42,400. Yeah, 33.6% cash on cash return.
You're essentially, that's cash that you've gotten from appreciation tenant purchase. Divide that by the down payment, which is the cash you put in, 33% on return on your money.
So in real estate, a lot of people go, if I buy that property, how much is my return? They only look at my mortgage payment and my expenses. I get a rent, what's the difference? Oh, that's not worth it. You're right, because that's only like $100, $200 a month.
Yeah.
I just showed you another 33% return on that 42,000, and 7.8% on the 42,000. You just don't see it monthly in a check, but it's happening in the asset. Like the investment is doing that for you. And so we got 33% plus 7.8% plus the cash on cash when we looked at the cash flow is 6.8%. In year one, when we add up all the numbers, $42,400 was invested. We got $20,339 in cash flow, in savings on taxes and depreciation, in bought equity with principal buy down and in appreciation adds up to $20,339, which is equivalent to 47.9% return on investment in year one of buying a $214,000 townhome. When we did this example, it was literally, we just found a house on the market. We're like, this house, what does it rent for? Here's the expenses. We ran everything on it. So in 30 years, you're going to have no debt, but it's paid off. Total income, cash flow, was an additional $87,300